What's up, everyone? Back for another Whodunit Beer review, and today's beer comes courtesy of a very good friend of mine and fellow BeerTuber, Ridge, over at Ridgeopolus, otherwise known as Get a Nose on a Beer Review. So huge thanks to him for this beer. In the description box, I will post a link to Ridge's channel, along with the beer mail unboxing video I did that contains all the goodies he hooked me up with, and he hooked me up with two different Whodunit beers, and I already reviewed the first one with a couple good friends of mine and also fellow BeerTubers, Dan and Mike, over at FLX Beer Reviews. We posted it on both of our channels. You should see that one before this review, and we all did a pretty good job, but Mike pretty much nailed it. Dan was close, and I was a little bit further, but it was a triple IPA at 10%, and Mike guessed triple IPA 10%. Dan said 10.5% triple IPA, and I said 10.7% triple IPA with lactose, so we're all within the realm, and it was a lot of fun to do. But this is the first solo Whodunit beer review on my channel in over a year. I've done two mystery / Whodunit beer reviews on my channel, but they were group reviews, again, with Dan and Mike. Then we did one with a bunch of other beer tubers, and I'm really excited to get into this one and do a solo review because they're a lot of fun. That's what this is all about, having fun, testing your palate. Once again, thanks to Ridge for both of the beers and all the beers in general. But yeah, I can't wait to get in this one. Go check out Ridge's channel, say hi. So if you are unfamiliar with what Whodunit beer reviews are, they're basically blind / mystery beer reviews where somebody will wrap up and conceal a beer like Ridge did with this one. They will then either send or give me said beer, and I'll review it like I do any other beer on my channel, with the lone exception being I have no idea what it is. So at the end of the review, I must try to guess the style and the ABV before I reveal the beer to both you and myself. So what do I know about this one? Then what I think is a 12-ounce can. It came from Ridge, who resides in Delaware, and I know he likes hoppy beers, but most of the beers that Ridge drinks are in 16-ounce cans. So, you know, my mind's already starting to play tricks on me, like 12-ounce can. Is this from a macro company? Is this going to be like a lager? My beer fridge is at around 50 to 52, fluctuates slightly. So I grabbed this one right out of the fridge. It should be good for reviewing purposes. That's the only issue with Whodunit / mystery beer reviews. You don't know what temperature to drink it at. If this is like an American adjunct lager, should have been probably ice cold. If it's a huge imperial stout, I would have probably liked the 55 to 60. But at the end of the day, you got to do what you got to do. Now, I did not look on the bottom of the can. I'm not going to do that going forward with any Whodunit beers. I did it a couple times in the past. Don't know why, just like a habit, but sometimes they put the date on it. Sometimes they don't, depends on the brewery. So I didn't look at it this time because I'm like, I don't want any preconceived notions going in this one. So we're going to crack it open, get it into the beer tree glass, because Ridge likes beer tree. I like beer tree, and it really doesn't matter because I don't know the beer. So, oh, it's coming out a little bit of a gusher. Oh, okay. All right, so, you know, as soon as you start pouring these and looking at these beers, you kind of have an idea. We're going to pour all of it. You know why? Because why not? But I can tell you right now, that already looks like a, you know what this actually looks like? This looks like one of those old school, like, Vermont IPAs, where you got the, you know, it's murky, it's turbid, like a New England style, but it doesn't have that, like, real bright, almost like turkey gravy or just like real bright yellow. It has more of a darker, like honey orange color. And it is turbid, but it's not crazy. I still see a little bit of light through it. But yeah, that has this, like, I will say honey orange color, relatively murky and turbid, but not crazy. Had about a finger of a bright white, somewhat creamy looking head. Yeah, we'll say somewhat creamy for that. It looks nice, but if I had to guess, this looks like an old school Vermont style IPA. That's what it looks like to me in the glass, or an old school New England style, not one of the new school super hazies. Let's get a nose, I can smell it. Okay, so it kind of has a nose like that. There's a big blast of pine on my nose right now. Like it's going right up through the nostrils, huge pine. Yeah, there's big pine, and then there's a lot of like underlying citrus. So there's sweeter grapefruit, there's sweeter orange, but there's also the zestiness of those fruits. Maybe a touch of a sweeter pineapple or peach, something to that nature. It smells a little boozy in the nose. Like, if I had to guess right now, ABV on this, I'd say 7.5%, 8%. Just looking at it, smelling it, a little bit of booze. It seems like there's a little bit of booze. It just could be that big resinous kind of like hop, piney thing going on. There's a little bit of legs on there, but nothing crazy that would scream high ABV. I would guess this is no bigger than 8. Yeah, I mean, you know what this reminds me of? In addition to a Vermont style like IPA or double IPA, it reminds me of like a West Coast IPA meets like in New England style, where you're getting a lot of that fruity goodness, but you're getting that hop resin, that pininess, the earthiness that you get in a lot of West Coast beers. Yeah, it smells pretty good. It's making my mouth water, so it's doing a good job from that angle. So let's get into it. Cheers, everybody. Thanks again, Rich. What is this reminding me of? It's definitely, to me, this is an IPA. I don't think it's double based on what I just tasted. I don't really get any alcohol, but again, a lot of breweries are. Plus, there's a little bit more bitterness than I'm accustomed to with doubles. But again, this could be, I don't know what this could be, honestly. I'm trying to, like, off the top of my head, thinking of, I'm racing to macro beers or bigger craft breweries just because it's 12-ounce can. Bodiness is like medium. Yeah, like right around medium. So that's appropriate for what I think the ABV level of this is going to be. I said 8 when I was smelling it, whatnot. I think it's a little bit lighter than that based on the mouthfeel. Mouthfeel's medium, maybe a touch under. Or the body. The mouthfeel itself, it's really crisp. It has a smoothness on the back of the palate, but this doesn't have one of those new school, like hazy or New England style IPA kind of mouthfeels. It has more of an old school, again, Vermont, West Coast. It's more crisp. It's more effervescent on the palate, but it does finish relatively smooth. It tastes right at the forefront, all those citrus characters, but it's a mix of sweet, zesty, and pithy. I would say more of like a, not a sweeter grapefruit, more of like just a white grapefruit. There's orange, maybe a touch of lemon. That hits me right at the front of the, it's like you bit into each one of those citrus fruits. Right after that, a little bit of pineapple, a little bit of peach. Then about 2/3 of the way through the palate, there's this big blast of like an earthy, resinous pine kick. And then it dries out on the back of the palate. This is like semi to full on dry with a very moderate bitterness, almost approaching like heavy bitterness. Like it's pretty bitter on the back of the palate. What I think it's doing to my palate is making it feel more like the bitterness is crazy, but I think it's just the semi-dry to full on dry finish combining with the bitterness, and it's just making on the back of the palate where everything's super dry. Like my tongue is very dry right now. So it's not, this isn't a super sweet beer. So this is where I start kind of racing a little bit, because I'm getting an underlying like bready, slightly caramel malt thing, which would make me think old school West Coast IPA. But then I get all that fruity goodness, and then I start leaning towards more of like a new school hazy or Vermont IPA. But then the back of the palate's that big, moderate, almost full-on bitterness with that semi-dry to full-on dryness, and I'm just like I'm just all over the fucking place with this one. Ooh, so I went back there and I got more maltiness. I don't know why. Yeah, the malt's showing a little bit more, but it's underlying it. Like it hits at the front of the palate with the citrus and then dips underneath it. It's just bready and like caramel. I think this is going to be somebody's like hybrid. They probably won't call it a hybrid. It might say West Coast on it. I wouldn't be surprised if it does, but I don't think it's a, we're just going to make it very simple. This is an American IPA. I don't think it's going to say hazy on it. I don't think it's going to say New England style or Vermont. I don't think it's going to say West Coast. I don't. Maybe it will, but I do think that this is just like an American IPA. I'm going to guess the ABV, again, in the nose, I was like, it's not over 8, and I would guess like 7.5. I think this is more like 7%. Might even be lighter than that, but I'm going to say it's a 7% American IPA, no adjuncts, nothing crazy going on here. It does have a West Coast kind of like influence to it, but it also has like influences from like the Vermont style and just from older school American IPA. So I'm just going to lock in American IPA, 7%. I don't think I want to say anything else about this other than, do I enjoy it? Yeah, it's pretty solid. This makes me harken back to like, Sip of Sunshine, or maybe even going further back to like Torpedo. Beers like that, which bring like a big bitterness with some maltiness, but you do get a fruity aspect. I think this one leans maybe a little bit too bitter for my personal preference. I would like to see a little bit more sweetness, a little bit more fruity character to kind of balance it out. But I have no problems giving this like a 3.9 out of 5, so like a low 4. I think it's solid. I think it's probably well made based on what I think they're going for, but I don't know. So anyway, time to open it up. So I'm just going to put this over here and see if I'm wrong. I'm right. I have no idea. I'm thinking it's from a macro brewer. That's what I'm thinking. All right, so does that say Burial? Burial. They actually put beers in 12-ounce cans. I thought everything was like 16-ounce cans like other half and, you know, all the other hype breweries. It's taped at the bottom. There is a date, I think. Yeah, I can't see it. We'll read it at the end if it says anything. So this is Burial's Surf Wax IPA. What is the ABV? 6.8. IBU 65. Yes, sir. Surf 50 degrees. I just nailed everything. No, I was off on the ABV by 0.2. The IBUs I didn't guess because, you know, I like to see them in my reviews, but usually it doesn't matter. But 65, this is one of those beers where 65 IBUs, yes. And Surf 50 I did. So it says, fear causes hesitation. If you want the ultimate, you've got to be willing to pay the ultimate price. Ain't it wild? Why be a servant to the law when you can be its master? Story time, Burial? I know you want it so bad, it's like acid in your mouth, but are you crazy enough? Show these guys that are inching their way on the freeways in their metal coffins that the human spirit is still alive. We only live to get radical. Mosaic, Simcoe, and Citra. Okay. I would have probably said Simcoe because it gives off that vibe. Citra's in everything, been in everything for like the last 10 to 12 years. Mosaic, not really. I didn't guess the hops because I usually don't. It's too hard, at least for me. It says the sea swallows the sun, and who knows if it rises again. Okay, so it just says it's an IPA, no West Coast, but date. I think that says either October 18th or 11th. I can't tell. So we're about 3 months away from that date right now, a little bit over. This held up pretty damn well for being over 3 months old. Check out the label here. Yeah, so I didn't know Burial put beers in 12-ounce cans. So if that's the case, if they put this 12-ounce can, is this like a regular offering or like a year-round? Is this getting local bottle shops and whatnot? I mean, yeah, Surf Wax IPA. So listen, I think I did a pretty good job. I said 7% at 6.8. I said they're going to call this American IPA. They just called it an IPA. I don't know if they're going to call this one a West Coast or anything, like if you looked on their website or on Untapped, but I'm really happy with how I did. Pretty solid beer. If this is like a year-round or regular offering that they get in local bottle shops, and let's say they sell these in 6-packs and they're like 12 to 14 bucks, that's a fucking great deal. I don't know, but if they did, I would love to have this locally because this is a nice change of pace beer. Like every time I get a beer like this, it's like, oh, it's nice because I drink a lot of hazies and whatnot. So it's really awesome to get a beer like this. So Ridge, let me know what you paid for it and where you picked it up and whatnot, because I'd be interested to know what the availability of, like, you know, these, do they have other beers at 12? That's just like I'm sitting here, it blows my mind that I see a 12-ounce can of a Burial beer, because everything I've seen from Tyler or Ridge or anybody review, it's always a 16-ounce can. So yeah, I don't know. So I think I did a pretty damn good job on this one. You know, couldn't do, outside of like calling out the hops, I don't think I could do really a better job. But yeah, whatever. I did all right. I'm happy with it. So appreciate everybody stopping by for another Whodunit Beer review. I have a couple from Tyler and 2 or 3 from Steven that you will be seeing. I think 2 from Steven. 2 from Tyler, 2 from Steven that you will be seeing over the next month to 6 weeks. I'm going to try to post these every Wednesday along with a West New York Wednesday, so you get Whodunit Wednesdays along with West New York Wednesday. So I'm going to try to get to all of them as soon as I possibly can, and hopefully you guys enjoy these. This is so much fun. And like I've said before, the only way to do these is have people send them my way. So if anybody out there wants to send some Whodunits my way / mystery beers, Whodunits on my channel, yeah, hit me up. I'm always down for it. So anyway, thanks to Ridge, thanks to everybody stopping by for another beer review here on the Beer Patrol. Like I said, with the ABV, why I went 7, I was getting in the nose, but in the taste, like, nah, this just screamed like a single IPA. But I still think it was approaching like 7.5%, 8%. That's why I went 7 and it's 6.8. So I'm happy. Anyway, till the next one. Cheers.